All right, let's go ahead and let's get started in child's pose. And go ahead and reach your arms forward. Let your big toes come together. Place your forehead on the mat. And just take a couple moments here to check in. So a little abbreviated class today. Connect with your breath. Allow it to come a little bit deeper. Good, and then stretch your arms forward, way forward, hands shoulder width apart. And then come up all the way to the hands and the knees. Curl the toes and lift your hips up and back. So downward facing dog. And just feel your legs. You can press the heels down, maybe pedal back and forth a couple times. And we'll come right back here. So I want you to drop your knees down. Bring the knees right underneath your hips. Walk your hands back about 2 inches so they're under your shoulders. And then extend your left leg straight back. And float your right arm forward, handshake position. We call this spinal balance. And check your breath. We don't want to overlook the importance of the breath. Let that be your priority. So imagine I was trying to balance something on your lower back and it wouldn't spill, right? So you're nice and even. And you could try to lift your right arm a little bit higher if you want. And just make sure you're looking straight down. Just like that. Take one more inhale, get nice and long. And then exhale, release the hand and the knee down. And simply switch. So right leg back, left arm forward. And even though you're here for about 5 deep breaths, try to find moments where your breath is slightly being held at the top. Right? And as you push the air out of your lungs, see if you can be comfortable with that moment when your lungs are empty. And your spine is not concave or convex. It's just nice and even. And maybe lift your left arm a little higher. Take one more inhale and then release everything down. Do it one more time, but just with one breath. Inhale, switch. Left leg back, right arm forward. And then exhale, let it go. Good. Inhale, switch. Right leg, left arm. And then exhale, release. And then cat-cow. So you want to arch your spine by pulling your heart forward and sticking your butt out a bit. And then round your spine. Look towards your knees, tuck your tail, lift your navel. Good. 3 more. Inhale, pull your heart forward, open up. And then exhale, round your upper back. And a couple more. Inhale, pull forward just long enough to be still. And then move on to the exhale, round your spine. Good. One more. Inhale, heart lifts. And then exhale, round your upper back. Very nice. Good. And come into neutral spine. And come back to downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back. Good. This time, bend your knees just a little bit. Push your hips way back. So you're interested in the spinal length. Lift your sits bones up higher if you're tight. Right? If you're a little more flexible, you don't have to lift your sits bones. And then you can start to straighten the legs from there little by little. Be patient with your hamstrings. Pull forward so you're in a plank position. Shoulders right above your wrists. Just take about 3 breaths and feel the strong pose. Know that you can have the knees down. It's always an option. Fingers are open. Beautiful. Take one more inhale and then pull back to downward facing dog. We're going to do this about 3 more times. We're going to add chaturanga, which is basically a push-up, okay? Inhale, pull forward to plank. You could have the knees down. Bend the elbows, lower halfway to the floor. Good. Inhale, straight up to plank pose. Downward facing dog on your exhale. Just like that. 2 more. Inhale, slide it forward, plank position. Exhale, bend the elbows. We're just warming up. Inhale, straight up to plank. Downward facing dog 1 more time. Inhale, pull forward to plank. Use your breath. Exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale, straight up to plank. And then downward facing dog. Yeah, nice job. Bring your feet all the way together so your big toes touch. Let your heels have just a tiny bit of space between them. That's just the alignment of the skeleton. And then lift your right leg back without trying to move your hip. Nice. You're not interested in how high it goes. You're just trying to keep the leg straight. Good. And then switch. Right foot down. Lift your left leg back. So we're looking for precision, but not perfection. We want to find accuracy. It keeps us present, focused. When it's a matter of inches, millimeters even. Good. And then set your left foot down. Walk your hands back to your feet so you're at the back of the mat. And separate your feet a little wider just so you're stable. Take your elbows into your hands. Take a couple breaths. So grab your opposite elbows. I like to swing a little left and right here. Just kind of loosens up my lower back. Maybe make half circles. Good. And then release your hands to the floor. Grab your ankles, maybe a little above your ankles, and straighten your arms. Pull your heart forward. Inhale. Good. And then fold forward on your exhale. This time, touch the floor with your fingertips. And if you can't touch the floor, bend your knees or use 2 blocks. Right? And then pull your heart forward with your fingers on the ground. Now walk your hands just a little forward so they're under your shoulders. Perfect. And then lift your right leg behind you, real simply, right? And try to keep that same, analogy, right? So, right, if something was resting on your lower back, it wouldn't spill. Good. Now take your left arm and just reach it to the left. Yeah, like a one-winged airplane. Instead of up, just to the left. If you want to open your right arm to the right, you could do that. If you want a little more stimulation, intensity, it's up to you. Good. And then place both hands down. Keep the leg up, but walk your hands closer to your toes and let your head just go. Let it hang. Yeah. And give me one more inhale and then switch. Right foot down. Lift your left leg back. You're going to walk the hands just a little forward so they're under your shoulders. This is like a modified warrior 3. So you're pulling your chest forward at first. And then just to test your balance, open your right arm to the right. Only reach your left arm to the left if you already feel kind of warm and safe. Sometimes it's a little early to do the full pose. The modification is just a sign of intelligence to me. Just set the hand down, keep the leg up, drop your head, walk the hands a little closer to your toes. Make sure you're still breathing consciously. Good. Very nice. And just give it one more inhale, and then set your left foot down. Bring the hands back to your shins or ankles and straighten your arms. And as you pull your heart forward, bring the hands to your hips. All right? Put a little bend in your knees and stand all the way up. And then just take a nice walk up to the front of your mat. Put your feet in that same position where your big toes are touching, but not the heels. And rest the hands at your heart. Close the eyes. Now just take a breath for yourself. And then inhale, reach your arms up. You can look up and watch your palms touch. And then fold forward on your exhale, come all the way down. Come into a flat back, this time fingertips or shins, you choose. And as you fold in, step your left foot to the back of your mat, so you're in a runner's lunge. Come up to your fingertips, pull your heart forward. And then if you want a little more stimulation, just open your arms down by your sides. 2 breaths. Good. Now plant your palms down on the ground. And as you come back to plank pose, try to keep your right foot lifted an inch off the ground. Now, if you're modifying, just have the right foot down. And very nice. Now, if you're able to, this is optional. Bend your elbows, lower halfway to the ground. And then press straight up to plank. Set your right foot down. Downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, pull forward to plank nice and slow. And then bend your elbows lower all the way down to the floor. Good. Stay here. Reach your arms forward, straight arms. Yeah, have your pinky fingers down, but your thumbs up. Push your fingers into the ground, your pinky fingers. Yes. And then lift your right leg and lift your left arm. So opposite limb movement. You can lift your head a little bit too. Use the fingers that are on the ground, push them down to lift higher. Good, and then let that go. And simply switch. So opposite limbs. It's kind of like physical therapy in the beginning. We're just making sure everything works. Good, and then let that go. Now let's do it one round with one breath. Inhale, switch sides. Exhale, release. Inhale, switch. And then exhale, release. Now start by lifting just both legs. Instead of lifting your arms, push them down a lot and slide your hands back a few inches. So you're going to lift your head higher. This is a back bend. Good, this is where I stay, and if you have lower back injuries, you will too. But if you want to lift your hands up, do it for 3 breaths. Up to you. 3. If you're lifting your hands, look down and lift your hands higher for 2. So nice. Give me one more breath. And then relax everything. Good. Slide your hands next to your upper ribs and just press up to plank. Curl the toes under with strength. Press up. Good. Downward facing dog. Bring the right knee to your nose. Shift forward. Yes. Round your spine a little bit. Yeah, it's a simple pose, right? You don't even really have to lift your leg to do it. Yeah, and then just simply step back to dog. Don't lift the leg back. Just step back to dog. You'll see why in a second. All right, now lift your heels way up. Both feet are down. Tippy toes. Push down with your hands a lot. And I just want you to take about 10 baby steps with your feet forward until they're all the way to the front of your mat. So by the time they're at the front of your mat, I want you to probably be on your fingertips unless you're super flexible and have your feet together. All right, and then just push the toes down and together to lift your heels higher. Yeah. And if you're modifying, it's fine if your feet aren't even close to your hands. Beautiful. Bring your heels to the ground and come into a flat back. Inhale, lift your chest. and then fold forward on your exhale. Then come into chair pose. So we call that Utkatasana. You're going to squat your hips way down and reach up with your arms. Beautiful. Feel your hips pull away from your fingertips. You don't want to go so far that you're straining. You're tensing, not straining. There's a difference. Good. Now start to swing the hands behind your back, interlace the fingers, and as you fold forward, kind of make that decision if you want to separate your feet a little bit. Right, let your head hang, let your jaw go, and just notice what you're holding on subconsciously. You know, why we hold tension in certain places, sometimes we'll never know, but that's what this practice is about, checking into those things. Good. Release your hands down, come into a flat back again, lift your chest, and as you fold forward, step your right foot to the back of your mat, runner's lunge. Right, take 2 breaths, pull your chest forward, and then open your arms down by your sides, kind of like wings of an airplane. Right, a little stimulation, back body's firing, legs are firing. Good, and then plant your palms flat, and as you come back to plank, maybe try to keep your left foot lifted an inch above the ground. All right, and for those of you at home, you're welcome to stay modified here, but if you want a little more, try bending your elbows, lowering halfway to the ground. Press up if you lowered and set your foot down, downward facing dog. Very nice. And then inhale, pull forward to plank pose, bend the elbows and lower all the way down to the ground. Good, we'll stay here, lift both feet, lift both hands, but keep the hands where they are. Pull the elbows in, like suck them into the rib cage. Nice, so this is your first cobra. Let's do 3 more with the feet down. Set the feet down, set the hands down. And lift, just keep the first one super mellow, lift your heart. Good, and then exhale, chin to the floor. And a little higher on the next one on your inhale. Open up your heart, collarbone spreads. That's it. And then exhale, chin down. You can move into up dog if you want. Otherwise, 1 more cobra. Hold it for 2 or 3 breaths. And just make sure the elbows are pulling in tight. You're pulling more of your sternum forward, less your lower back. Yeah, 1 more inhale. Downward facing dog. Curl the toes, press up and press back. And real simply, just without lifting the leg, bring the left knee into your nose. Shift forward and round your spine. Just feel that. It's a simple transitionary pose. We overlook it a lot. And then just step back to down dog without lifting the leg. Yeah. Come high up on the balls of your feet. We're just going to do this 1 more time. 10 baby steps forward with your feet. Push down tremendously with your hands, fingertips or palms. And by the time your feet are close to your hands, have your feet close together. And just take a couple breaths. Yes. Good. Bring the heels down. Come into a flat back on your inhale. And then fold forward as you exhale. Again, chair pose. Bend the knees, squat down, and reach up. 3 breaths. Pull your hips away from your fingertips. And as you pull the navel into your spine, you're looking for more space, right? It's not just a strength pose. Go ahead and swing the hands behind your back, interlace the fingers again, and just fold forward. If you want to, separate the feet a little bit. Loosen up. What can you loosen up? Your future, your past. Just staying present, really the name of the game. And then release your hands down. You come into a flat back on your inhale, and then just step back to plank, or you could lightly jump back if you want to. And then lower slowly down. So first, full traditional vinyasa. All right? On your inhale, open up your heart and chest. Use your breath to open you up. And then back to downward facing dog on your exhale. This is the new part, right? So push your hips back on your inhale, and then bring the right knee to your nose as you exhale, shift forward. Yep, and then really simply, just step back to down dog, right foot next to left, and then left knee to your nose, shift forward. Good, and then right back to down dog. And then lift your heels way up and start to bend your knees this time. Look forward. You can walk your feet, step, or lightly jump your feet to the top of your mat. Yes, flat back on your inhale. Fold in on your exhale. We're going to do 2 more rounds. So chair pose for 1 breath. Sink your hips low and reach your arms high. And just fold forward on your exhale. Fingers to the floor, maybe the legs straighten. Good. Flat back on your inhale, fingertips or shins. And then step back to plank or jump back. And then start to lower down with your elbows in. Yep. And as you inhale, open up your heart like you're surfing a wave of oxygen. Good. Downward facing dog as you exhale. Again, feel your hips pushing back as you inhale, and then right knee to your nose, exhale, shift forward. That's it. Down dog on your inhale. Left knee to the nose. It's powerfully simple. Yes. Down dog. Lift your heels way up. As you inhale, bend your knees, look forward. You can walk, step, or spring. Either way, top of your mat. Flat back inhale, 1 more round. Fold in on your exhale. Back to chair pose. Find your rhythm as you sink the hips low and reach high. And then fold forward, exhale, dip and dive. Flat back inhale, synchronize breath and movement, step or lightly float back, and lower down with upper body strength. Inhale, open up and include length, and then back to downward facing dog. Nice job. Just take a couple breaths to check in. Notice your body starting to increase in temperature. And try to step away from your thoughts. And then let's come back to where we left off. Bring the right knee to your nose, shift forward. So the idea is if we were perfect, right, we could keep our palms flat on the ground and step the right foot through. But the reality is that most of us have to come up to the fingertips here to do it. So go ahead and step your right foot next to your right thumb. Come up to the fingertips if you need to do it. Come all the way up, crescent pose. Reach your arms straight up. Nice. And as you come up to your crescent, you want to keep your hips level. So maybe the right hip's just slightly pulling back. And then a lot of us will bend that left knee a tiny bit and try to draw the tailbone down. And once you draw the tailbone down, then you're free to reach higher. All right, some people like to lean back and press their palms together. That's it. Give me one more inhale. And then straight to downward facing dog, hands to the ground. Step your right foot back. And again, feel your hips push way back. And then bring the left knee to your nose, shift way forward. Yeah, it's difficult to step your foot through. We cheat a little bit, right? Come up to your fingertips if you need to and step by your left thumb. Come all the way up, crescent pose, which is an alternative to warrior one sometimes. Usually a little easier on the ankle flexion. But put that little bend in your back knee and kind of half tuck your tailbone so it's not fully tucked. And then start to reach higher. Yeah. And with the tail half tucked, you can lean back if you desire. So nice. Maybe the palms even press together at the end. Give it one more inhale. Downward facing dog, hands to the ground. Step your left foot back. This time let's add the vinyasa. Pull forward to plank, no rush. Bend the elbows just long enough to stay still. And then find your back bend. Inhale, arch your spine, make it feel sweet. Back to downward facing dog, and your eyes are softly looking past your feet. Good. Let's move on. So go ahead and lift your right leg up. Bend the knee this time. Open up your hip. Should feel kind of nice on the connective tissue. Good. And then step your right foot right between your hands and spin your back foot flat. So grab the right ankle with your right hand, or you could grab your block. Reach your left arm up. Yeah. And then those of you that are flexible, looks like all three of you are, you could bring your hand to the floor here if you prefer. Yeah. And then open up your left chest. So nice. Now take your left arm, only move your left arm over your ear, palm facing down. Check in with your breath. And as you check in with your breath, feel your left leg so strong. That's it. Now reach your left arm up and slow as possible, press up to warrior two. So you're not rushing. Good. And just sink a little bit deeper into your right leg. Good. Now I want to stay in warrior two here, but take your left arm down by your side, have the palm facing out. Right. Now I want you to climb that left hand up your back. And you're going to take the right hand and try to connect your hands. Right? And just hold it. Good. Open your arms. Now turn the right palm up, reverse warrior, sweep it all the way back. I'd say give it one more inhale, and then downward facing dog. Hands to the ground, just step back. Good, and then lift your left leg back nice and high. Bend your left knee and open up the hip wide. Good, and then just step right between your hands. Spin your back foot flat on the ground. Yeah, and then take the left ankle into your left hand or use your block. Now you kind of know your options. Reach your right arm up. Just give yourself a few breaths. Yes. So in the variation with your hand on the outside of the foot, like you guys are doing, which is fine, you push the knee against your arm, and then just your right arm, start to stretch it over your ear, palm down. Good. And then reach your right arm up, slow as possible, press yourself up, warrior two. Good, and then take your right hand, drop it down by your right side, and climb it up your back. Try to connect your hands. Yeah, you can always use a towel here. Yeah. But either way, you gotta feel that left elbow and how it's pulling behind your head. Yeah, a difficult shoulder stretch, most of us would agree. And then sink a little bit deeper. Make sure your upper ribs are hugging in, so that means your tail is slightly down. Beautiful. And then just open your arms again, nice and wide. Turn your left palm up, reverse warrior, sweep it up and back, 3 breaths. And you can sink a little bit deeper if you want, 2. I'd say give it 1 more inhale, and then downward facing dog, all the way down. Right. This time add the vinyasa. After you push into dog, pull forward to plank, and then bend your elbows as you exhale. Arch your spine, make it feel nice, and then downward facing dog. Good. Lift your heels way up. And as you inhale, bend your knees, look forward, and then walk, step, or lightly jump to the top of your mat. Flat back on your inhale, and then fold in on your exhale. Bring your feet together if they're not. Come into your chair pose. Only this time, in your chair pose, push your toes down, lift your heels up, right? Yes. And it's difficult to stand up on your tippy toes, but then try to stand up all the way up on your tippy toes. Push your big toes together, and then reach higher. Let your eyes rest on one place. Good. Now, as we revisit chair pose, bend your knees and pull your hips way back. All right, so you're now on the tippy toes in chair. And once you're balanced, I want you to look down, open your knees apart, plant your palms shoulder width apart. And if you're new to this, you just want to lean forward, bend the elbows, and just get there. And you might lift one foot up. All right, if you've done this before, crow pose, lift both feet up. Takes a little while. And then step back to downward facing dog. Those of you at home could always float back, right? Take the vinyasa if you want it. Downward facing dog. We're going to do this one more time. Lift your heels way up. Bend the knees, look forward. Walk, step, or lightly jump, top of your mat. Flat back on your inhale. Fold in on your exhale. Chair pose. Bend the knees, squat down, reach up. And then lift your heels. All right, stand all the way up. All right, so you're on the toes. Big toes pushed together. When you're ready, rebend your knees, pull your hips back. And then lean forward, open your knees, plant your palms, knees into your triceps. Lean forward, lift 1 or both feet. 3, trying is great. Fear of falling on your face is worse than actually falling. 2, and 1. Step or jump back. Good. Vinyasa is optional. Downward facing dog. Good. Last couple poses today. Good. Go ahead and lift your hips and bend your knees. Walk, step, or lightly jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, lift your chest. Fold in. This time chair pose, but we'll prayer twist. So bring the palms together, twist to the right. Hook your left elbow outside of your right thigh. And then all you're going to do is lift your heels. Right? Push your knees together a little bit and squat all the way down. All right, so the modification is to set your left hand on the floor and reach your right arm up. And if you want to try side crow, plant your palms to the right of your mat, climb the knees up your left tricep, bend your elbows, and lift both feet up. And then turn your chest to the right. Just an option. Good. And then release. Go ahead and fold forward. Separate your feet about hips width apart. Reach down, hook onto your big toes. Take an inhale, lift your chest, lengthen out, and then fold on your exhale. Couple deep breaths. And then we get to do it again. Release your toes, heel toe your feet together, last chair. Bend the knees, squat down, reach up. Prayer twist to the left. Right elbow hooks outer left knee. Yep, and then go ahead and lift your heels again. Yep, start to squat all the way down to your heels. And again, most of us will just set the right hand down and reach the left arm up. Get a nice spread arm twist. And again, just a demonstration, if you want a little bit more, plant your palms to the floor, lean forward and lift both feet up. You might even start to straighten the legs. Go ahead and release. Fold forward. Separate your feet a lot. Point your toes out slightly and squat. Yogi squat. Let's take a couple breaths for yourself. Good. And then place the hands behind you. You're just going to sit on your butt. Just scoot back a little bit. All right. Go ahead and reach your arms straight up. Legs are straight forward, and then fold over your legs. Just feel a nice stretch. 5, 6 deep breaths. So you can just come back to that nice rhythm. Give it one more inhale, and then all the way down to your back. Go ahead and lie down on your back. Hug the knees into your chest. And rock a little side to side. Just stabilize your lower back. Sacrum's pushing down. And then the next time you roll to the left, let your knees fall all the way to the left. And open your right arm to the right. And come back to center and switch. Let your knees drift to the other side. Let your head turn the opposite way. And then come back to center. Bring both knees into your chest and give yourself a huge hug. Lift your head off the ground. Take a huge inhale. Hold your breath for 3. Squeeze tighter. 2, 1, and then release. Go ahead and lie all the way down on your back. And close the eyes if you like. Come back to the natural breath. Just feel the effects. A short, simple, sweet practice. Yoga doesn't have to be an eternity, although it's nice when you have the time. But when you only have a little bit of time in your day to carve out, 20, 30 minutes is all you need.